Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of our digital launch. Today we're going to be discussing parts and features, so stay tuned.
It's in the stars. Hasn't it always been? As far back as humans go, we've been looking up. Our drive to explore our universe has always pushed technology forward. The Canada-France-Hawaii telescope has been giving us clear glimpses into the cosmos for over 40 years. But technology changes a lot in 40 years. So when it's time for a redesign, you need a system that has performance, attention to detail, a full design ecosystem, and offers the latest innovations. Welcome to the 2019 Solidworks release, presented to you by CADimensions.
The parts and features section of the What's New is always my favorite section because I enjoy modeling the most, and I think the best enhancements are found in this section. Don't tell anyone else though. This year's release is not an exception. There are so many enhancements this year, so without further ado, let's dive into it. Complex shapes are widespread in today's world and are often produced using industrial design tools or carved to make physical models, but they need to be manufactured. A common workflow to complete the engineering process is to leverage these designs from mesh or scan data. SOLIDWORKS 2019 provides several new tools to help leverage this data to create production parts, and some handy new part modeling tools that are sure to delight. This handle originated as mesh data, so let's take a look at how it was built. SOLIDWORKS can open a wide variety of mesh data like this 3MF file. As you can see, this is clearly a mesh body. And to leverage this body to build a solid model, a new slicing tool is available to create intersection sketches through the mesh body. Pick a starting plane, then define the number of planes and offset. The slicing planes and sketches are organized in a folder and can be edited to position the sketches in the desired locations. Once positioned to your liking, the mesh body can be hidden. These sketches can be used like any other sketch to create a solid body. For this example, a surface loft will be created to define the shape of the handle. The new slicing tool allows users to easily repurpose mesh data to create solid models. There was a lot of enhancements to the mesh functionality in SOLIDWORKS 2019, including the Paint Select tool, segmented imported mesh body tool, and the grouping of crease angle segments, planar and cylindrical segments. Boy, that's a mouthful. To learn more about these specific tools, please consult the What's New document or reach out to our great support team. This handle will be designed into 2 halves, so to continue the design workflow, the split command can be used to create 2 bodies split at the central plane. A logo needs to be applied at each of the halves, so a sketch will be created and a sketch block will be applied and positioned from the design library. Did you notice that the sketch block preview is no longer the block icon, but a preview of the actual block? Thank you to SOLIDWORKS 2019 for that. Back to the action. To apply the logo, we will use a projected curve command. In SOLIDWORKS 2019, projected curves now support multiple open or closed contours, can be projected onto multiple bodies, and a new bi-directional option is available to project in both directions. The logo is then created in a single feature. Previously, this would have taken 2 sketches and 4 projected curves. As the design progresses, let's take a look at another enhancement for working with surfaces. The power button is a surface model that contains several holes that need to be removed. Now, previously, these holes could be removed by selecting the edge of the hole and hitting the delete key, but this method was not easily discoverable. Now in SOLIDWORKS 2019, a delete hole button is available as well as a property manager for editing. The holes are removed and the surface is now watertight. I actually always thought the delete hole tool would only work with a circular entity, but boy was I wrong. Previously, I would use a fill surface and then delete the patch to get the same end result. From this point on, I will totally be using this tool. As we look over the assembly, an interference is suspected between the cable and the handle part. A quick interference detection confirms our suspicion. To address this interference, the new partial chamfer tool in SOLIDWORKS 2019 will be used. Now, the length of the fillets and chamfers can be controlled. There are various options available to control the start and end offset, or the on-screen handles can be dragged to locate the ends of the chamfer. Asymmetrical fillets and chamfers are supported as well. This new capability will save time and will reduce the number of features. Some designs, such as this grip, require textures or bumps which can be functional or just for aesthetic purposes. These textures can be time-consuming to model and may require many features such as these ribs. SOLIDWORKS 2019 introduces a new 3D texture tool which leverages an image to define a pattern of bumps. Here, several variations have been created using this new tool, including a logo. These 3D textures are created by applying an appearance to a part or face, then sized and orient it as required. The new 3D texture command can be used to turn that appearance into 3D geometry. The lighter the color in the appearance, the farther the offset from the base face, and there are controls for mesh size and offset. SOLIDWORKS then creates a mesh body that is ready for downstream processing or 3D printing. These are just a few of the enhancements for SOLIDWORKS 2019. These new tools will help to streamline the workflow when working with mesh data and save steps when working with part models. We just showed how powerful the interference detection tool can be within an assembly, and there are some enhancements for 2019. Multi-body part modeling is a standard method to create designs like this weldment, but to find body interferences, the part had to be placed in an assembly. Now, in SOLIDWORKS 2019, the interference detection tool is available in part mode. This can bring great insight into a multi-body part and is especially useful for weldments to verify that all members have been properly trimmed. The hole wizard is an awesome feature within SOLIDWORKS, but it has one limitation when it comes to manufacturing: the lack of tolerances. SOLIDWORKS 2019 added the functionality to add tolerances and precisions. In the property manager, just look for the type tab and expand the tolerance precision tool. The rest is like any other tolerance. This automatically propagates to the drawing, as you would imagine. Many issues have been resolved related to how cosmetic threads are created, updated, and displayed when there are child references in downstream features. The cosmetic threads features a more robust architecture so that they behave more consistently. The improved behavior provides more stable references for edges and faces, along with correct parameters for assemblies, drawings, and graphics. Improvements include support for tapered threads, mirrored and patterned geometry, better mapping to non-planar surfaces, and standards for tapered shafts. One of the resolved issues is cosmetic threads created from instances of pattern and mirror features display correctly when you hide and show the model geometry. To see the full list of resolved issues, please check out the What's New document. The two major enhancements for the cosmetic thread feature for SOLIDWORKS 2019 is that the standards for tapered shafts and holes are supported, and you can input any equation to configure the major or minor diameter of cosmetic threads. Showing how your part moves through its range of motion using an animation is very common, but how many times have you saved out the animation to a format that was just a pain to work with? There's nothing worse than spending all the time creating something beautiful and then not being able to convey that with your customer or boss. With SOLIDWORKS 2019, there's a multitude of file formats that we can now save to, including the popular MP4 format, and even a series of images like JPEG, PNG, and much more. I know Jesse is ecstatic about this. Once I save out that animation in an MP4 format, I will want to watch it back on my giant monitors. Previously, SOLIDWORKS never took advantage of super high-end graphics card, well, until now. With SOLIDWORKS 2019, there is a new graphics architecture for displaying parts and assemblies, which result in smoother, more responsive, real-time dynamic model display. These dynamic performance improvements now scale up with higher end graphics card, which were not fully supported in previous versions of the SOLIDWORKS software. Speaking of performance, suppressing the bounding box feature has always forced the model to rebuild, which can take some time if you have a lengthy feature tree. But with SOLIDWORks 2019, the bounding box feature no longer rebuilds your model when you suppress or hide it. The insert part command is a great way to maintain references or to incorporate another part into your design. One thing lacking in the tool in the past was the inability to select the desired configuration. With 2019, that is no longer an issue. Just select the desired configuration in the drop-down. I personally love this enhancement because it will aid in the manufacturing team when a part contains a machined configuration. Anyone using SOLIDWORks CAM and working with customers that frequently issue revisions, you should be using the insert part command. Now this enhancement just makes it more user-friendly. There were a lot of great enhancements to the parts and features section, but it doesn't have to stop now. Let's dive into the sheet metal and weldments enhancements. In SOLIDWORks 2018, the tab and slot was one of the top enhancements for fabricated metal designers. Based on a lot of customer requests, 2019 built on the tab and slot feature with some critical options to reflect the real-world applications. For example, welding tabs into slots is quite common using a through-all cut, but a half-thickness tab. We now support this with the no through cut option. Unequal offsets for slots allows me to design in the flexibility of matching tolerances from different directions. Corner options allow for more manufacturing flexibility. For example, it's easier to laser cut a round instead of a sharp corner. The link group options means that I can consolidate design intent in one place for all tabs and slots that will have identical parameters. Weldments are a key feature of many designs, and SOLIDWORks has long been an innovator in providing tools to create weldments, such as the structure to support the telescope in the Spectroscopic Explorer. Let's take a look at how the structure can be created in SOLIDWORks 2019. The definition for this new structure does not contain a 3D sketch. Instead, it is defined with much simpler surfaces, sketches, and planes, making it easier to define the layout of the structure. The new structure system is an advanced weldment environment that lets you create and modify structural members of different profiles in a single feature. Primary members are defined using 2D and 3D sketch segments, points, edges, reference planes, and surfaces. In this design, a window can be used to select the edges of the surfaces, which define 36 members, without regard for member groups. Familiar weldment profiles are used to specify the weldment cross-section, and for this selection, a 10 by 10 square tube will be chosen. Just like that, 36 members have been created. In the structure system environment, members can have different profiles. In this case, the vertical members will be changed to 10-inch diameter round tubing. The web members will be defined using sketch segments, and they will be 7-inch diameter round tubing. Secondary members run between primary members and are defined by selecting member pairs. In this case, the location of the new members will be defined by 2 support planes, and the chain option will be used to select the member pairs. As selections are made, new members are added between the pairs, located at the support planes. As easy as that, another 12 members are added. At this stage, the members are defined, but they're not trimmed. When you finish adding the structural members, the corner management tool is presented so you can fine-tune the corner treatments. The simple corners will be set to body trim so they get coped to the vertical members. For the complex corners, there are more options. Initially, each member is mitered to each other. For this corner, we want the horizontal members mitered to each other and then the vertical member trimmed secondarily. To simplify the manufacturing impact, the vertical member should be trimmed flat, so it should be moved down to the planar trim box. For the next corner, we can see that the vertical tube has been automatically defined as the trim tool, and the horizontal members get body trimmed to it. The top corner will be defined the same as the first, where the vertical members will be planar trimmed to the mitered horizontal members. The same trims can be applied to the remaining corners of the structure to complete the corner management process. Finally, the 7-inch diameter web members can be patterned to complete the design. The new structure system feature provides an advanced weldment environment that lets you create and modify structural members of different profiles in a single feature with flexible corner management and trimming. This workflow makes it easier to create complex structure systems without the need to create intricate 3D sketches.
All right, well, there was some pretty cool stuff in that list. If you had to pick out some favorites.
Ooh, that's pretty difficult. I mean,
There was
a lot in there, and I did talk for a long time. So for me to talk even more, but I think 3D textures are going to be a real game changer. Really on the 3D printing side, you and I, we don't do a ton of 3D printing, but we see it more on the rendering side. And I think with some of those things where we have to put on our model to be able to render it, it's going to be really, really huge for that.
Yeah, it's like a manual displacement map kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think with how easy it works and how good it actually is, they're kind of jumping right out of the gate and doing something really well. And then just the structure system in Weldments, that's huge. I mean, we don't do any of that design, but we do have a lot of customers that do, and they're going to absolutely love it.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
So what do we got for tomorrow, Jess?
Well, tomorrow we are moving into data management. So we have PDM coming up as well as that new product Manage. We're going to take a look at that as well. So stay tuned.